Okay, so I've just kept going with this, and it's not um, perfect, but it's making reasonable use of texture space. Okay, you could keep probably scale this up a little bit and rearrange them. Okay, maybe even scale some bits that you want to add more detail to a little bit bigger. But there's no overlapping pieces. Okay, I'll just check that there's no inverted faces. Okay, there's none. Okay, it's making good use of texture space, or reasonable use of texture space. Minimal distortion. Okay, the pieces should be fairly easy to paint because well, this one here, I've got an extra seam there that I probably don't need. That one there, I probably could have welded that um, onto the lid. Okay, but anyway, okay, so that's basically your UV layout. Okay, now to get that out to Photoshop, what you need to do is come up here to Tools, and then Render UVW Template. Okay, choose the size that you want. Okay, so maybe your texture is going to be 2048 by 2048. Okay, or 512 by 512, or whatever you're doing. Okay, and then go Render. Okay, and that will give you this. Okay, and if I zoom in, you'll see we've got all our lines. Okay, now you can export that out. You can choose different options in there for how you want it to color it, okay, etc. Okay, what I normally do is I'll just do that again. So Tools, Render UV Template. Okay, um, like so. I'd normally save it. Oh, we've got two of them in here to save. And if you save as I'll just make a new folder. Okay, I'll call it Chest Template or UVs or something like that. Okay, I'm going to save it as Targa, so I get an alpha channel. I'll hit save. Okay, 32-bit, so that I keep the alpha channel. Okay, and then I can load that into Photoshop. Okay, so if I launch Photoshop, okay, actually, and I'll open the image, so File, Open. Okay, and that brings in your template. Now you can just use that as a guide and just make your texture, bring in photos, painting, whatever you want to do in Photoshop. Okay. However, what I'd normally do is use your alpha channel. Okay, so go to Channels. If I control click the alpha channel, okay, it's a bit hard to see, but it's actually selected all the lines. Okay, and then under Layers, I'd make a new layer, choose a foreground color that I want the lines to be, so bright green or something that you're not going to have in your texture. Okay, then choose, not going to be blue, just so it's different to the whatever you want. Okay, and then with that selection on the new layer, I'm going to fill that, so Shift Backspace. Alright, Control D to get rid of the selection, and now I can actually get rid of that background. I don't need that image. Okay, so I can just fill it with a color. Okay, I can even delete that alpha channel if I want, but there's no need to. So if I just make the background color like grey and fill that background layer, okay, because I've got my lines as a nice clean overlay now. Okay, that's the way I do it, but a lot of people just use it as a layer, as an ordinary sort of layer, without sort of doing that. But I just find that is an easy way to get the transparency. Okay, so I'll call that UVs. Okay, and I can lock that layer if I want, and basically I can paint now below that to get our painting happening. Okay. Um, so if I just put something on here so we can see that it works. Where's my brush? There we go. Okay, so let's just, oops. Oh. No. Where's my paintbrush? There we go. That's going to be better. Okay. Alright. So put a smiley face. Alright. So where was the top of the lid? Down here. Okay, so yeah, I'll just put something on there that we can have a look at. Okay. Save out my texture, which is that. Okay, so file, save as, test, color, something like that. Just as a Targa or a JPEG's probably fine for this. Okay, and then in Max, I'll load that on as a texture. Okay, so once you've UV unwrapped, I'd probably actually collapse the stack. So right click, convert to poly. Okay, because it'll basically bake those texture coordinates in, so you don't need to leave the modifier there. It's probably safer to bake it down. And then I can just drag and drop that on, or I can make a new material. Okay, I'll call it treasure chest. It's M to bring up the material editor. Drag and drop to apply, and then I'll click the little map button beside diffuse. Choose bitmap. Okay, and then load in that image. Alright, click this little button here, it should show it in the viewport, and you can see there that I've got the texture on there. Okay, the resolution of the texture in the viewport is going to be, if you go into customize preferences, viewports. Now if you're on nitrous, it should look okay, but if you're on DirectX, you might want to come in here and tick match bitmap as close as possible, and these two. Okay, and then if I save and load the file to refresh the video memory, it should look nice and clear. Alright, so now you can basically use Photoshop to paint on your texture. Okay, now I'll do another video for next week on getting a better workflow between your different programs. You can, for example, also use, now that it's UV mapped, you could use the viewport canvas up here, okay, to paint on it as well. Okay, which also saves to Photoshop files, so I can actually paint on the actual model in the viewport. Okay, but I'll go over a few of these next week. All right, yeah, that'll probably do for this week.